it might surprise some of you to learn that I wasn't always the die-hard RGB stan that I am now. Back when RGB lighting first started appearing on parts it had no right to, like, you know, RAM, I hated it, and I couldn't think of a worse way to spend money on a PC. Oh, what a silly, boring man I was. RGB RAM has become a staple for lighting enthusiasts like myself, and over the years we've seen some spectacular light shows coming from our unassuming little sticks of happiness. But out of all the usual suspects I've worked with, I've slept on one particular brand far more often than I should have. And that comes to an end today, because in this video I'll be taking a look at a very promising and very pretty kit of Crucial Ballistix RGB gaming memory. But first, if you want to pick up any of the parts I'll be mentioning in this video, go ahead and use my Amazon affiliate links in the description down below. It costs you nothing, but helps the channel out a lot. And if you're in South Africa, make sure you pick up all of your parts at Wootware for big PP guaranteed. Now, the exact kit we're working with here is a 32GB, 3200 MHz CL16 kit of Ballistix RGB, and at a price of $173 or 3,900 Rand here in South Africa, it comes out swinging right in the middle of the price pack. And while there's nothing wrong with taking the fight directly to the more established brands at this price point, I feel like Crucial is really missing out here on a flawless victory by not pricing these sticks at like $5 or $10 cheaper, just completely undercutting the competition. I would love to see that happen. And that goes for all of the kits in the extensive Ballistix RGB lineup. And speaking of an extensive lineup, that's one of the Ballistix range's biggest selling points. Along with offering kits with different capacities, speeds, and timings like the rest of the kits out there, Crucial went above and beyond. They did this by keeping custom builders like us in mind and giving us kit with red heat spreaders like the one I'm working with here, along with both black and white versions. The white version especially should appeal to any one of us who dreams of an all-white, white and silver, or like white and blue builds. Ugh, just thinking about the possibilities just like makes me drool. And while we're on the topic, the overall design Crucial has going on here is surprisingly easy on the eyes. I'll be the first to admit that when I first saw the Ballistix RGB lineup, I wasn't really blown away, as it didn't have that same instant kick to the face impact as the other kits I've worked with before. But over the past few weeks, it's really kind of grown on me. The anodized aluminum heatsink looks and feels fantastically premium. The whole thing is sleek with just enough gamery elements to keep things interesting, while also not going completely over the top. And in my test rig, the red acts as a great accent piece to the whole build. The heat spreader, at least on this kit, and I imagine on the black version, reflects very little light and blends in with the system's overall RGB theme perfectly. And oh wow, how are we this far into the video and I haven't even talked about the RGB yet? The RGB implementation on these things is good, borderline great even. It's just not quite there for me. The lighting is plenty bright enough, while also not being so bright as to burn your eyes or take too much attention away from the other RGB elements in your build. It's diffused really well, much more so than the RGB elements in 80% of the other RGB products I've worked with, but there are still some noticeable hotspots throughout the strips, primarily in the middle of the modules, and that does take the overall effect down a notch for me. Luckily, while we're on the topic of effects, we've got a bunch of them to work with using the Ballistix mod utility, and a bunch more on top of that thanks to Crucial allowing the lights to be controlled via Asus's AuraSync, Gigabyte's Fusion RGB, or in my case, MSI's Mystic Light software. And while a lot of them are pretty hit and miss, some of the effects really stand out. And if you're already using one of the software suites I just mentioned, everything works together seamlessly to make for one hell of a light show. One that I thought would lose some points due to the 4 metal rings here holding the whole thing together, but somehow it managed to look, in my opinion, better than just the straight uninterrupted light strip. It adds some character to the whole affair, you know? As for performance, we should be getting quite a bit of it since Crucial gets first dibs on the best memory modules directly from Micron. And this particular 3200 MHz CL16 kit should be right in the sweet spot for the system we'll be using to test it in. And that's because we're kicking things off with the Ryzen 7 3800 XT clocked at 4.5 GHz, and we know Ryzen loves that speedy memory. Then we've got MSI's MAG Core Liquid 360R to keep CPU temps in check, and MSI's X570 Gaming Pro Carbon to plug everything into. Then we have Crucial's very own blazingly fast P5 NVMe as our main drive, which I'll be doing a video about sometime soon, so stick around for that. Along with MSI's RTX 3070 Gaming X Trio, Antec 750W EAG Pro, all stuffed into MSI's Sekira 500X, which I'll be taking a closer look at in an upcoming video as well. Now, for this round of benchmarks, I configured the kit to run at 3 different speeds. The first is 2667 MHz, as that's the speed we're getting without enabling XMP, and should serve as a good reminder to always enable XMP. The second is the kit's rated speed of 3200 MHz, and the third is a pretty decent overclock speed of 3600 MHz. I could have definitely pushed that OC even further with some more tinkering, and we're definitely leaving some performance on the table by not fiddling with our timings at all, but that's a subject that probably deserves its own video. Back to this video. First up, we have Cinebench R23, and wouldn't you know it, enabling XMP and letting the kit run at its rated speed seems to be a pretty good idea. Who knew? Overclocking also seems like a pretty good idea, although the performance gain from going from 3200 MHz to 3600 MHz isn't nearly all that dramatic. Moving on to numbers that actually matter, our gaming benchmarks are a little more interesting. Games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Metro Exodus, and Control didn't seem to care all that much about what speed the kit was running at, with only tiny bumps going from 2667 to 3200, and almost no improvement coming from our overclock. As for the other games in the lineup, well, they paint a different picture, with most of the titles showing very decent performance uplifts going from 2667 to 3200, ranging from 4% all the way up to a 20% increase. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for our overclock results, as the bump from 3200 to 3600 showed only minor improvements, if any, with some clear diminishing returns kicking in here. Like I already mentioned, it's not a particularly heavy overclock, and I didn't tighten timings at all, so I'm not too surprised by the results we got. That being said, if you're willing to put some time into nailing a good balance between speed, reliable voltage, and tight timings, then you're definitely going to get a lot more impressive results than I did. Overall, Crucial's Ballistix RGB performed exactly as advertised, and with some tinkering, even a little more than that. And it did so without ever even coming close to breaking a sweat, only hitting a max of 47 degrees when pushed, to the max. Just about 10 degrees hotter than idle. Pretty impressive stuff for such a low profile and sleek design. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Crucial's Ballistix RGB range delivers the performance you'd expect, runs cool, exudes quality, and in my opinion is a great option for anyone looking to add some RGB flair to their builds. I mean, sure, I would have liked if the lighting was either diffused a little better, or if there were a few more LEDs tossed in there to create a cohesive, seamless looking effect, but it's still great. And yes, the pricing is a little higher than I would have liked to see, but on the other hand, I don't feel like you're getting ripped off, as you're definitely getting the quality you're paying for. So, have we found our new RGB RAM king? Well, it's a little too early to tell, since I haven't even checked out Crucial's more beastly Ballistix RGB Max range yet. So, maybe? Huge thanks to Crucial for sending the kit over to the channel for me to check out and use in my new test system. It'll be put to very good use. And thank you to everyone watching this. If you do decide to pick up a kit of your own, or any of the other parts I mentioned in this video, please do so via my affiliate links down in the description. Or if you're in South Africa, grab all the things at Wookwear. Those guys rock. And yeah, I hope you're staying safe and sane, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.